So in a previous video, I gave the general overview of how you can find brands that are selling on Amazon as well as selling at a certain supplier. And the main source that I used to get these brands was actually Rakuten. But in this video, I'd like to show you the complete process of how I'm using these two Google Sheet systems to actually gather, first of all, the data on my approval of different brands, and then to gather data of potential suppliers where these brands can be found. All right, and that's what enabled me, for instance, to find this brand, which I'm approved to sell on Amazon, that is also sold on Home Depot, which then gives me the ability to take products of this brand from Home Depot and sell them on Amazon. So what I'd like to do is show you that actual process. So using Rakuten as the main source of brands and suppliers, they have a large set of suppliers, over 3,000, which I was able to scrape into a Google Sheet. Okay, that's about 3,700 online stores. And then I was also able to scrape all their brands, which again is a very large number of brands as well. So the first thing is to actually take these brands and get them into this Google Sheet. And what this system does is it takes any brands that you give it and it tries to find ASINs of those brands. I would then take those ASINs over to the Seller Assistant app restriction checker, and it's going to tell me which of these brands I'm approved, or which ASINs I'm approved to sell. And this system will tell me which brands I'm approved to sell. Now, what I'm going to do is actually remove the filter from this for the moment. And these are the A brands that I already did. And what I'm going to do is add the B brands. And I might not have actually scanned all the data of all of these ASINs as yet, but I'm going to go ahead and add the B brands, and then we'll do all of them together. So now I'm going to go to the Rakuten brands list I have here. And let's see. And I'm going to look for letter B because I copied over letter A. And the reason I'm doing it in sections is because there are just so many. And I can only upload 1,000 ASINs at a time to the restriction checker. So I'm just going to do it in terms of letters. So I'm just highlighting all of the brands that begin with B. I copied them, and now I'm going to paste them over to the sheet right under here. Okay, I just pasted it. So now what I will do is continuing from this last line that doesn't have anything on it, I will then click on Get ASINs, and it's going to go ahead and find the ASINs of these different brands. Okay, so I just have to wait for that. Okay, now this process can take a while, of course, as it moves down. So my advice is when you're using these systems and it's doing something that takes time for it to do, that involves crawling, do something else while it's doing this and then come back to it, which is what I'm going to do right now. Okay, so I have not completely finished the letter B. However, I do have a significant number of ASINs for these brands. I don't need to wait for the whole thing to complete, right? You don't need to wait for that. What you can do is go ahead and click Generate ASINs List. What it's going to do is take these ASINs and put them into a straight vertical list on the ASINs sheet, because this is what we need to upload to Seller Assistant app. All right, so in Seller Assistant app, you click on Upload ASINs, and that will give you this box. And by the way, if you're not already using this, use my link in the description of this video to get a deal on Seller Assistant app. All right. And basically what you want to do is go ahead and copy these ASINs. Now, the thing is, it only takes 1,000 ASINs at a time. And this list is all of the ASINs on the sheet. Now, here's the thing. I already uploaded the first 1,000 ASINs before. Okay. So I don't want to re-upload the same 1000 ASINs again. Okay, so rather, what I'm going to do is find this. Okay, start from say 1001, and I'm going to go ahead and copy these ASINs. And you don't necessarily have to do 1000 at a time if you don't want to. Keep in mind, the more you do, the longer it takes for it to scan them. But if you want to do about 1000, that's fine. But if not, you could just stop. Now the thing is, you need to remember, okay, you need to remember where you left off. That's the thing, okay? You have to remember where you left off. So if you left off at 1331, just remember that, okay, row 1331. So when you generate another list, you'll pick up from row 1332 because they're always going to be in the same order. So you can copy the ones that you just selected, paste them in here, and that's 331 ASINs. And then I'll go ahead and put Rakuten. The name doesn't really matter. I'll just put B1. Rakuten brands B1, meaning the first set of B brands. And in fact, what I could have actually done is I could have named it brands B1001 to whatever that row was where I stopped, right? 1331. You know, you could do something just to remember which ones you uploaded, right? But returning to brands to ASINs, you're going to see that they just keep going, right? It's going to keep going. It's going to keep finding ASINs and finding ASINs. So you don't need to wait for processes to complete for all the data that's in here before you can start continuing the process, right? You can go ahead and continue the process on your own. Now, if you refresh this, you'll see where it is. Right now it's being processed. And eventually they do email you when it's done, but you can also just refresh this. So the file is now ready for download. We see 177 ASINs that I'm not eligible to sell, 10 where I need approval, and 137 that I am allowed to sell. And I'm then going to go ahead and download that restrictions data. And once you download it, it's actually in an Excel format. It's not a CSV. So what I'm going to do is actually import it in to my Google Drive. So I'm going to show you how that's done right now. So I created a folder on Google Drive, and to do that, you simply click new folder, and you rename the folder. My folder is brand restrictions Excel files. And the idea here is to simply upload the restrictions data into this Google Drive folder. And to do that, you use right click and file upload. Select the restriction data Excel file and then click on open. Now the reason for doing this is so that we can get the data into Google Sheets because we're working with the data in Google Sheets. Also, if you don't have Excel on your computer, then this is another way for you to open up the Excel file, right? To actually open the Excel file in Google Sheets. All right, so now I need to take this data. Once I get it open, I'm going to actually take this data back over to the, and let me dismiss that, the brands to ASINs Finder, because what it's going to do is give me the restrictions results that I need, as we see here for these other ASINs. Okay, so I'm going to bring that restrictions data in here, and then that will tell me my approval. Okay, so all right, here's the restrictions file. So since we have the file right here in Google Sheets, there's no reason to do a file import and all of that as I usually do. In this case, since it's already up here, I might as well just highlight it and copy it. Okay, so select A and B, right click, copy all of this data, bring it back to the brands ASINs Finder, go to the restrictions CSV, which means restrictions data really, and I don't want to paste over the data I already have because I'm still using it. So what I'm going to do is control down to get to the bottom. Now if you don't have enough rows, you can click on this add button and it will add another 1000 rows. All right, and now I can use Control Up to get back up to where I left off, and then paste to paste that data right underneath the other data. So I'm building one big list, or one huge list of restrictions data from all the different ASINs that I'm finding. Okay. Now, meanwhile, actually, no, I won't do. I was gonna say I could click on Get ASINs, but for now, let me just focus on the results. Okay. Now, you can see now that I added more restrictions data, that some of these B brands and the last A brands, which did not have data before, that they now have restrictions data. So basically you have two things. You have approval required and you have allowed to sell. Okay, so it's telling you how many ASINs you're approved, where approval is required, and then it's telling you how many ASINs you're allowed to sell. So typically, if you want to actually sell a brand, you're going to want the allowed to sell number to be, a good number of ASINs compared to the total number of ASINs, right? Generally, we have these ASINs are not, they're not a large number of ASINs per brand. All right, so it's pretty easy to tell. Okay, if I see 5 allowed to sell and 0 approval required, well, that means I'm allowed to sell all of the ASINs that it found, all 5 ASINs, right? So you can just kind of look at this and figure it out, right? Now, basically, what I would do, however, across the board, or what I do, is first of all select this row and apply the filter, data creative filter, which I had eliminated before. And what I suggest is you go to allow to sell. Look at anything that has green. All right, so fill color green. Anything that, even if it only has one ASIN allowed to sell, I'll still take it. Okay, I'll at least look at it. All right, so I can see what's going on. Okay, so even if it's 1, okay, so it could be 1, it could be 5, whatever it is, I'll give it a shot. Okay, so basically now we see which brands are approved to sell. The next thing you would do is then copy these brands and take it over, and I'm going to bring this over here, over to Amazon. So what you want to do here is take the brand name, copy it, go to Seller Central, make sure you go to Catalog, Add Products to get to the screen, paste the name of the brand, click on Search, and see what results you get. Right now, if you remember, it said that I was required to have approval for 5. I was only allowed to sell 1 ASIN. So you do see that there are a lot of products here that I'm not able to sell, if you notice. See how it says apply to sell, apply to sell. But then I do see one that I am approved to sell over here. So it seems like a kind of a mixed bag. So the fact that I'm not allowed to sell some of these, it might have to do with the category of those products. Okay, it could be the category. I'd have to check into it further. Right, so it could be that the category of those products, this vinyl cleaner, for instance, maybe I'm not approved to sell that. Okay, so that could actually be what it is. All right, certain categories of this brand. Now this is not even the brand. This is something else. All right, so that's basically how this works. Okay, but if you want a brand where you'll be more certain about your approval, then you're going to want to look for 0 required approval and that you are approved to sell all of the ASINs that it found. Right? Let's see. I mean, and there are a bunch of examples like that. Let's take this Baldwin filters. Okay. And let me paste that. Right? Baldwin filters came up as approval was required for none of the ASINs, but I was allowed to sell all of the ASINs. Okay, So now I can check the ASINs. All right, and see that I'm able to sell these ASINs, all right? So this is basically the way you can check in on the brands further, get an idea of what kind of products they have of these brands. And then you could even check for suppliers and things like that by using a Google search if you want to do that process manually. You can do a Google search, go to shopping, see what sites carry this Baldwin filters. I see it's found on Zorro, which is popular with a lot of people, a lot of sellers. So, you know, you can get an idea of some of the different sites that carry the brand. So that's one way you can kind of do it, is to go through each brand one at a time, going into the catalog, checking it out. And then, now, I mean, another thing is that you should probably open some of these products. And you should get a closer look. And be careful, because there may be a difference between Baldwin by itself and Baldwin filters. I think I might have ignored that difference initially. So remember, the brand name was Baldwin Filters, not Baldwin. That's the idea of how you can research the brands. Now, however, I can actually do that process in bulk using the auto match system, okay, the supplier auto matching. So what I'm going to do here is take the brands, and rather than going through these B brands individually, I'll go ahead and take the B brands that I have so far. Actually, the ones that I just filtered out with allowed to sell. And I'm going to copy the ones that I'm allowed to sell, where I'm allowed to sell at least one ASIN. And I'm going to paste them into the auto matcher. All right. And I paste these brands because why would I really want to spend my time with the brands that I'm not approved to sell, unless you're going to apply for approval and all that. But in bulk, it makes more sense to take these ones that I'm allowed to sell if you're trying to get faster results, right? So then I'll click on auto match suppliers, click in the row where you want it to start, and then you click auto match suppliers. All right, that's basically how that works. Right, and it has to do some searches, and it might just take a little time. So this is a process I will have to wait for it to complete. But you don't, as I said before, necessarily have to sit here and wait for it. You go and do other things that you have to do. But since it already found something, I might as well take a look, right? So let's take, for instance, this brand. Now, I don't remember what my approval was for this as far as the number of ASINs. Let me see. So this was a brand where where I did not need approval for any of these ASINs. I was approved on all 5 ASINs that it found. Okay, so that's hopeful in terms of the approval part. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy that brand. And you see it's finding more suppliers here because I want to know what this brand is about. And I'm guessing that it's like a clothing brand based on the name. Yeah, I thought so. Okay, and also based on the suppliers. So this is the brand, and you do have approval. I do have approval to sell this brand. Okay, this B collection brand. And of course, you're investigating the brand to see the actual number of products of this brand that appear on Amazon, and you're also looking at the suppliers. It does say that it's found at Walmart and at Bloomingdale's. So you can then check those sites. For instance, I mean, we do Walmart all the time, right? Walmart's pretty common. Let's take a look at Bloomingdale's for a change. Okay, and I should still have the brand copied, I think. Let's see if I can, yeah. So I just pasted the brand, and then you can actually search that and see what you get. And in fact, the brand is found at the supplier Bloomingdale's. So I mean, this is demonstration, of course, but this is also proof that the system works. Okay, You gave it a brand name and it gave you a supplier, Bloomingdale's. You then, or rather I should say, I gave it a brand name and it gave me the supplier, Bloomingdale's. I went to Bloomingdale's, I searched for the brand, and lo and behold, that brand really is sold on Bloomingdale's. Okay, and there are a number of products, right? It looks like there are a lot of products of this brand on Bloomingdale's. So the system works. And basically all it does is a web search on that brand name. And from that web search, it's able to pull up some different possible suppliers. Now, it's pretty much going to be the same process for any brand that you decide to look at. Now, this box is where you can put in the name of a supplier that you're looking for, and it will light up when it finds that supplier on that brand, okay, on that row. So we see Walmart.com in here. So wherever there's a Walmart.com, it's going to light up. If you have at least one Walmart, it's going to light up, right? So if you wanted to really use Walmart, you would look for the ones that are going to light up green on Walmart, okay? And that's what that does. Now, if you wanted to look for some other supplier, you could type that in as well. I see, for instance, let's say you wanted to do Overstock. Well, you could type in overstock.com. And Overstock, anything that has Overstock should light up, and they're not as many. Right, but that would give you this brand. And then again, you can check that brand out on Amazon. Paste and see what it is. So it looks like bedding. Okay, we're getting bedding products. And let's see. I don't remember what the approval situation was for this brand, of course. I'd have to go back and look and find that brand. Control F. Okay, here it is. I was only allowed to sell one ASIN. I was not allowed or not approved for 12 of them. Okay, so I'm not surprised that when I go in to Amazon, I'm not approved to sell these products. Okay, so you see that everything works. Okay, the approval part works, right? When you get the approval report here, and you check it on Amazon, it corresponds. If you're not approved to sell most of the ASINs, you'll see in the Amazon catalog it's coming up that that I have to apply. I'm not approved. And the brands where it says that I am approved, where I was approved or I am allowed to sell most of the ASINs, you see that it actually says that I'm able to sell those ASINs. So really the system works. Okay, so everything works here. So this is really a way to kind of do bulk research on your brands and suppliers. And that is pretty much that's actually the whole process. From here, it's just a matter of investigating the individual brands and suppliers on your own, going through to see what the situation is with the brands and suppliers, both on Amazon and at the supplier. You want to make sure that there's a large number of products, of course, of that brand at the supplier, and make sure that they have products on Amazon as well. And that is really the overall idea. So that is the process. The only other thing I really suggest is that you keep a record of what you're doing. And for that, I use, it's not a system, it's just a template where I just keep a record of everything that I look at. So basically, if I've researched a certain brand that I'm interested in, I'll put the brand's name down. And I'll put that, yes, they have products on Amazon. So let me go ahead and do one. This one, I'll do one that was successful. This B collection. Okay, and let me actually bring this Google Sheet over here. I know it's a lot of different things going on here. And I'm going to paste it. So, yes, it has products on Amazon. Yes, I have approval to sell it. I don't see any IP risk on the brand, I don't believe, but actually, let me confirm that. What I would do, putting that brand back in here, I would then open some of the products and Seller Assistant app. This is why you've got to get this Chrome extension. You get a deal through my link, by the way, in the description of the video, and you've got to get it if you're not already using it. And it's a low-cost Chrome extension because it's going to show you if you have any brand or IP risk issues with the brand amongst all the other product data that it provides. But as you can see, there's no IP risk. It would be very clear if there was an IP issue with this brand, but you can open up several products. You shouldn't just open up one. Open up several products of the brand to really verify that you're not getting IP restrictions. For the sake of the video, I only looked at 2 products, but I'm going to say none detected. And then for the supplier, it was Bloomingdale's. So I'm going to put down Bloomingdale's.com. And actually, I left out the G in Bloomingdale's. And that's it. Okay, that's it. That's a record now of a brand and a supplier that I can sell. All right, and that is the idea of this research process. I'm not necessarily trying to find products to sell right now, but I want to see some possible brands from suppliers I'm interested in using. So anyway, that is the process. And if you'd like to do this process completely on your own, then you need to get copies of these Google Sheets. Again, links to these will be provided in the description of this video, as well as the Rakuten complete suppliers list, Rakuten brands list, this brand's ASINs Finder restrictions checker, and the brand suppliers auto matcher. And that is basically what you need, as well as this Amazon product research template, where you can just kind of record what you've done, record your progress as you do this research. And that's pretty much it. So if you have comments, questions, or suggestions, you can leave them below. You can contact me directly. Mr. Mark, this is Excel for Amazon and Amazon Dropshipping. Look forward to hearing from you or seeing you around on the channel.